Frank is back and still in the garden. Now we're talking about annual versus perennial plants. So Frankie, let's start with the most basic question. What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, so annuals are something that you need to plant every year. So you can see in front of us here we have everything from osteospermum to petunias to salvia to even some calibricolas. Those are annuals, meaning that each and every year, in order for me to have that in my garden, I need to plant. Whereas up here we have team perennial, and team perennial are those that come back year after year as long as they're hardy in your zone. So your zone will tell you which perennials are going to be hardy and which ones will come back year after year.
Okay, so let's break these down a little further. What are some of the pros and cons of annuals?
So let's say that I'm on team annual. What is the pro of annuals? Annuals come in a wide array of different colors and different forms as well. They're upright, they're trailing, but the key about an annual is that constant flame of color. Usually it flowers all season long, so there's nothing that I need to worry about. Perennials, they can be a big upfront cost, right? But year after year when they're coming back, that cost goes down, and with dividing them, you even get more and they're free. Perennials can also come in a whole wide array of colors and forms. They can go from sun, they can go from shade. So they're pretty versatile overall. The downfall of some perennials is they can be invasive, meaning they can grow all over the place. And the downfall of a perennial is they're like a firework. They go boom, they flower, and then they stop. Boom, they flower, and then they stop. So in order to have a good designed garden, I have to have perennials that bloom in spring, summer, and fall. So really it's the flame of annuals and the fireworks of perennials. That's kind of the difference.
Okay, like I feel like maybe you're team perennial, but maybe I'm not getting this right. Which one are you?
So let's just talk about team perennial. If I'm real team perennial, some of the ones I would love for sun, of course, would be things like salvia. Beautiful, nice color as well. Or maybe if I'm team perennial and I'm really wanting something for sun, I'd be looking to some of the sedums and stone crops in their different colors. Or maybe if I'm team perennial, I'd say to myself, I want a beautiful echinacea, perennial plant that's really great in full sun for later summer flowering. Maybe if I'm team perennial and I have shade, I'd be right into those hostas and I'd be thinking, wow, this Mighty Mouse hosta is so cute, and that kind of wins me over a little bit. Astilbia as well is something that wins me over because it also has a bloom period. But let's say that I'm team annual and I look down there and all that wide array of color. I look at the salvia, how it can attract pollinators, and at the end of it all, when I say to myself, am I team perennial or team annual? I'm team a little bit of both. What the key of a garden is if you can have some perennials that are there, and then in the front we always have a nice little pocket of annuals. So we have perennials in the backdrop. You put a little pocket of annuals in the front. So as the perennials are not flowering, that constant flame of color in the front draws the eye away. So what I say is you take the strengths of everything, you blend them together, and from there you have a perfect garden. And you don't need to be on any team. There's no I in team, just me.
Okay, listen, I want to know, is it easier, is one easier than the other just to garden and stay on top of?
That's always the key, is people think, hey, I can do a perennial, I can plant and forget. So I can take, say, for instance, the Shasta daisy that's here, and I can plant it and forget it. Yeah, you can. It'll come back year after year, but we still have to deadhead. We still, over 3 to 5 years, have to divide it. So there's still some work involved. Annuals is that normal planting each and every year. So at the beginning, when you have a new garden, you'll have a lot more spaces before perennials take space. That's when you can put a little bit more annuals in. But then as things start to fill out, that's when you can see that you're going to be using less annuals. So the concept is that perennials are more work than annuals, but both are work. Both require watering. However, in the end of it, if you're looking for affordability, planting annuals every year and filling your garden with annuals every year becomes very expensive. Whereas perennials, if you get selective, you can have a great garden that's very affordable. But now in the world of collecting perennials, they can get quite costly. And I already mentioned about little Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
Just a little perennial plant like that can be up to $20. And some of the other more interesting and rarer forms of perennials can be in the range of hundreds of dollars. So each and every year, what's cool about all plants is there's new exciting varieties that are more disease and insect resistant that it can add to our garden and really make our garden blooming great.
Oh my gosh, those are some gorgeous plants there. I see why you get excited. I'd love one year for you to just give us your garden plan so we can see how you plan everything out, because it's very cool.